Africa is, on paper, one of the richest places on Earth. It holds around 30% of the world's mineral resources, 90% of global platinum, the majority of the world's cobalt, the same material powering your phone, your laptop, and basically the entire electric future. There's oil in Nigeria, diamonds in Botswana, gold across multiple regions, and massive agricultural potential almost everywhere. So naturally, you'd expect the people living on top of all that wealth to be rich. But that's not the reality. Many African countries still struggle with poverty, weak infrastructure, and unstable economies. Which raises a question that doesn't quite make sense at first. How can a continent this rich have people this poor? To answer that, you have to understand that having resources is one thing. Controlling them is something else entirely. To understand modern Africa, you have to go back to the late 1800s. Specifically, the scramble for Africa. European powers didn't arrive to build countries. They arrived to extract value. Borders were drawn with rulers on maps, not based on culture, language, or stability. Entire regions were reorganized around one goal: take resources out as efficiently as possible. Railways weren't built to connect cities. They were built to move minerals to ports. Economies weren't diversified. They were focused on exporting raw materials. And when colonial rule ended in the mid-20th century, African nations didn't inherit balanced systems. They inherited extraction machines, just without the original operators. By the 1960s, most African countries had gained independence. But independence didn't automatically mean control, because the structure of the economy hadn't changed. Many countries were still exporting raw materials and importing finished goods, which is where the real imbalance starts. If you export crude oil and import refined fuel, you're always losing value. If you export raw cocoa and import chocolate, same thing. The profit isn't in a resource, it's in what you do with it. And for decades, that part of the chain has largely been controlled outside the continent. Take oil in Nigeria. It's one of Africa's largest oil producers. But much of the extraction is handled by multinational companies like Shell. These companies bring in the technology, capital, and infrastructure needed to extract resources at scale. And in return, they take a significant share of the profits. Same pattern across mining, agriculture, and energy. The resources are local, but the systems that process, price, and distribute them often aren't. So while billions of dollars are generated, a large portion of that wealth doesn't stay where the resources are. It moves. Now, it's easy to blame everything on external forces, but that's only part of the story. Internal governance matters a lot. Some countries have managed their resources well. Others haven't. Corruption, poor planning, and short-term decision-making have, in many cases, made things worse. Money that could have been invested into infrastructure, education, or industry gets lost. And without strong institutions, even the best opportunities don't turn into long-term growth. It's not a uniquely African problem, but in resource-rich environments, the stakes are higher, because there's more to lose. Then there's the bigger picture. Africa isn't operating in isolation. It's part of a global system that it didn't design. Trade rules, currency systems, and debt structures all play a role. Many African countries rely on exporting commodities whose prices are set globally, which means their economies can rise or fall based on decisions made thousands of miles away. At the same time, they often import higher value goods at prices they don't control. So even when they're producing wealth, they're not fully capturing it. It's a system where being resource-rich doesn't automatically translate into being economically powerful. At this point, the pattern becomes clearer. Africa isn't poor because it lacks wealth. It's poor in many cases because of how that wealth is structured, controlled, and distributed. Resources exist, but systems determine outcomes. And those systems were shaped by history, influenced by global forces and sometimes weakened internally. Africa is not a poor continent. If anything, it's one of the most resource-rich regions on the planet. But wealth isn't just about what you have. It's about what you control, what you build, and what you keep. From gold to oil to the materials powering the future, Africa has everything it needs. The question isn't whether the wealth exists, it's who benefits from it. And that's where the Real story begins. If you want more breakdowns like this, the kind that show you how power, money, and systems actually work, subscribe to the Wealth Archives. I'll see you in the next one.